Welcome back, guys. As you can see behind me, I'm back at Collins and this is another Astra VXR video. Quite a lot has happened in the meantime. I've been working on customer cars up at my place and Colin's been working overtime with the aid of Adele, his daughter, to strip the insignia of its bare bones and get rid of the shell. The Insignia engine package has now been fitted to the Astra, so is the subframe and various other bits and bobs. The looms have been stripped out of the Insignia and we're ready to crack on with fabrication, blah de blah de blah. And yeah, there's still quite a lot to do. The Astra package is now removed as mentioned and is for sale. So if you need an Astra J VXR engine, you know, just hit us up. Colin's not here at the minute, he's gone to go and get some parts and some more sheet steel. And in today's video, we're gonna do some more fab. Right then, to keep you guys in the loop, I've given Colin an action camera. It's not the best, it's not the GoPro because he'll just end up fucking breaking it or something because he's a bit heavy-handed. So I'll give him an Akasu Brave 7, which I'll use as sort of an in-car video camera for when I do track days. I hold it off the cage and I never use audio on it because the audio's shit. So I'm going to put his videos in there. He's been filming and documenting what he's been doing, but the sound quality is shit. So I'm just going to put some music over the top to save you the excruciating pain of trying to listen to a really tinny, crappy camera. But it is what it is, and you can see, well, what's gone on in the meantime.
Okay guys, we're back here again doing the Astra, as Carl calls it, the VX4R build, or Tara the VXR. He's told me my camera system was pretty shit, so he's supplied me his very own recording equipment. So here's a tester to see quite how it goes and quite how it looks on his end and see what he can do to edit it. Unfortunately he's not here, he's playing with a rusty Ford at the moment, which is getting his hair off a little bit, but he's getting there. We're going to remove the engine package from the Astra VXR just so that we can line up the Insignia subframe and package, which then will give us the points we need and references we need as to all the last fabrication points of the build. So we will try and get this out, get the other package in, just mounted temporarily for time being, just so it's on all 4 mounts, which will give us the points for our prop shaft. See if we need to send the prop shaft off for any alterations, or if Carl's going to alter it himself and we've got to send it off for some balancing or something afterwards. But this next section is going to actually give us all our points of reference for where all the last remaining fabrication points are. Then Carl can come and play with his welder, get frustrated and do what he's got to do to mastermind the actual rest of the whole, well, the subframe and the diff and everything being mounted up. He doesn't like me using the word Holdex. He says it's a diff, that's what it is. Well, no, it's a Holdex system, but I'm going to go with what he says. This probably is not going to get televised whatsoever, so I'm going to rip the freaking piss out of him as much as I want. So we can test it out and see how good the recording quality is on his setup. Right, okay, thank you for that anyway, we'll see you soon.
So we are in the driver's side rear wheel tub, and as you can see, we've been trying to unstitch the shock mount, and this is basically like a Kit Kat wrapper. Tried to get the air chisel and the drill on the go, but it's not happening, so I'm just going to cut this whole panel out and replicate it with a new panel. So I'm going to cut out all up here, cut this completely out, get some sheet steel and weld that in. And then we've got down here the Insignia shock tower, and we're going to try and incorporate that into here, and it's going to sit somewhere over this way a little bit, because down there is the bottom shock mount, so I need to figure out where that's going to sit nice and proud. So yeah, let's get into it. Right, so now we have a big gaping hole where we've cut out this original strut section, and I squared it up and cleaned it up with the flap disc, so that should be prime for welding. That's the section. I'm not going to lie, it was a bit of a bastard to cut out because of how thick it is, and yeah, just like that. So we're going to get on to trying to figure out this section now, and it doesn't exactly sit in properly. It sits a lot lower, so we need to figure that out. Sort of goes like so. I'm not sure if Colin's cut it on the piss, wouldn't surprise me, but I need to figure that out in due course. So main thing is to get a section cut out and ready to weld in to get rid of the big hole. Right then, so that is our panel made up. I've centre punched, not punched, but I've punched holes all the way around so we can spot weld that in. I've also measured where the actual recess of the bend is and replicated that, which is 220 mil there and 200 mil there, so it's slightly about 5 degrees out. So let's go and offer it up to the car and see if she likes it or not. Alright, so that's our panel. It's not too small, so that's half the battle. So a little bit of manipulating, a little bit more bending to get the shape right. Obviously we can use the tapping stick when we start tacking it in. I might need to take a little bit of the corner off here so I can get that into position, but I'd say that's a pretty good fit. This alone is not going to suffice, it won't have the strength. So like the box section that we've cut out, or the original panel, I'm going to have to strengthen it from the inside. But at least once this is welded in, we've got something that we can work off, measure up and cut out this section and weld in the Insignia one. Right, so there's a little bit of etch primer in there now, and she should be ready to weld in. We've put some more holes in the panel wherever I've put it. So it's not at hand, but yeah. Wish me luck. Hopefully I don't set the car on fire. The pain gets too much. Now the game's well. Keep thinking you'll pull up. I hit my main cell. The pain gets too much. Now the game's well. Still my love, don't understand. 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 They said I'm a heartstring baby. Right. So that's the new panel plug welded in. It's obviously got to be seam sealed, but I'm not going to do any of that sort of stuff until it's ready for completion. So now I've got to try and figure out how to get that panel in there, and it's not even the same shape, like nowhere near. So yeah. Right, so we got Colin. He's managed to drag him away from the other jobs he was doing. So what have we found out so far while I've been away?
Well, we managed to implement the engine package. We did it completely on the Insignia subframe. So the Insignia subframe did, as we first suspected, bolt straight up to the Astra chassis. So we're doing well with that side of things. We have had to utilise the top mountings on the driver's side for the actual engine. We have had to use the Astra mounting point and the actual holding bracket off the gearbox just to get the engine so the engine sits lined up properly. Suspension wise, we're having to run the Astra VXR drive shafts. They are very fractionally longer. We've got obviously running the Astra suspension setup, so we are part way through at the moment. We've still got to switch the drive shafts out, but we will do that at a later date. So we're using the Astra lower arms, Astra drop links, Astra shocks and suspension components. I'm running my spring kit out of my Insignia because it's actually designed for a 4x4, so it's got the extra weight bearing, which have gone straight into the actual dampers, which is nice. We've had to change the track ends because they're slightly different, they face the opposite way, but so far on the mechanical side nothing's been too overcomplicated. It's just been a bit of figuring out as we're going. So now you've explained that suspension wise, what did we find out with the headlights and the prop shaft? Well, prior to actually removing the Insignia or breaking the Insignia, we plugged straight into place the actual Astra VXR headlights, and they run completely as they should off the Insignia wiring looms. That's an absolute bonus for us because that's one set of lights we've not got to worry about now. to rewire. The prop shaft, which you can't really see too much at the moment, the car is quite low down, but if Carl can get it sort of low enough.
Ha! Of course I can, Carl. Explain to us what we're looking at here.
Basically, this is the prop shaft. This is the stock Insignia prop shaft. We've put it in and it's exactly a perfect length. It's meeting up with both the transfer box and the rear differential system. We've got to obviously create the mounting points for it, but we are pretty spot on. The back one, we're going to have to do some kind of bracketry for the back mount, but the front one we should be able to just put some nuts in place as such, as make it sound too easy, but yeah, some fixing points there. But yeah, it's perfect length.
Right, back to me doing actual fabrication stuff. This is the Insignia driver's side rear subframe mount, and I'm trying to separate the different sections. There's about 3 or 4 different layers, and there's like a cup bracket right in the middle of it, and this was an absolute mare to try and separate. I had to try and do it layer by layer so it didn't all fall to pieces. Well, it didn't fall to pieces, but try and do it layer by layer instead of just getting frustrated and cutting the hell out of it, because I wanted it in one piece because I think it would do a better job. But you'll see later on down the line exactly what I'm trying to do here. But my God, I was dreading this job, but yeah, it is what it is and it needed to be done. Right, so I'm putting the bracket into position now to try and get a feel of where it needs to sit. It's completely the wrong shape and it seems to protrude more outwards of the wheel well, but I need to get some fettling on the go and try and get it to fit hook or by crook, because this is pretty much the only thing we've got to go off to make work to get this to actually be a 4-wheel drive or viable vehicle. And this has been the stumbling block, but you can see what I've got to work with, and in the end you'll see what I end up with. As you can see, I put the original panel that we cut out of at the beginning back into position, and you can see just how far it is out. So what I'm going to have to do is do some CAD, which is the buzzword for cardboard aided design. If you watch the channel long enough, you know I'm all about that life. But I need to make another shape exactly the same as this, but also incorporate this sort of bulge in there, and it also needs more trimming on this section here, so I'm gonna have to come around and weld that in. Then I can drop this section down, I can stitch it from the inside for the top of the bracket, like that bit, that'll get welded to the back of the new one of these, and that'll be the start of trying to box it all off and get some strength back into it before we weld this panel back in, or the new one. And this is what we're going to be using. It's a sheet of 3mm. It's going to be a bit of a pig to bend to get the actual shape because it's curved. It's a bit harder doing stuff at Colin's place because I'm obviously a fabricator by trade, he's a mechanic, so I have a lot more equipment to do this sort of job at hand. So let's just get into it. So, as you can see, that is not far off. And as you can see, I've incorporated the tit shape, which I've sat inside the actual cup or the lower mount. So, I'm thinking what I should do now is probably put a couple of tacks, something I can cut out nice and easy. I'm going to tack this to there. Then I'm going to use a flap disc to actually grind away this section here until it's flush against this new panel, and then I can drop a couple of tacks in there, and then that's one little bit done. Then we need to make a fillet for the bottom of here, a fillet for there, and then obviously we need to make another panel for the back side, which is up here, and also weld the inside bracket to the outer panels. That would be good as well.
This is madness. This is
Right, so as you can see, that worked a treat. I'm going to cut this out now, and I'm going to weld the internal bracket to that side panel we've just made, and it's starting to come together rather nicely, if I may say so myself. As I said, still need to make a fillet for this section here and a fillet for that section there. Then obviously do the backing plate, and that's one side pretty much mounted. Winning.
This is madness.
Right, so as you can see, there's a big heat signature here. I've fully welded the inner bracket in, so that is absolutely solid, and now that can sort of stay in position. I've tacked it back in place, bolt went straight up the middle, just how I wanted it to, and yeah, it's time to box her in. I mean, there's not all that much in there now, but it's fully welded around the bottom and on the side, so I've got to get up in there and make another panel. The subframe's probably going to have to drop down again, and then all the same again, and go and do the other side. So yeah, big job. So it seems like a good time to end this episode. I know you might be thinking at home, well, you've only just started doing that rear diff mount, but it has been a long, arduous process to get my head around, and a lot has gone into this video so far. So, anything to add, Carl?
Not really, to be fair.
He always says not really, he's so optimistic. He's got loads of shit to say, but
I'm just happy to see now the stage we've got to, and now we've overcome from the actual back subframe mounting, and worked out how to do it, everything just seems more reality now to actually being able to finish it.
Yeah, there's not all that much to do really. Sorting the process of doing one side, I can then replicate it on the other side, but getting the first side done is the biggie and the most time consuming part, because it doesn't physically fit. You put it up next to it and there's absolutely no fucking way whatsoever that give you any inclination that mount was going to go in there. So you had to strip it down to the bare bones, to the actual mount on the inside, and figure shit out. So
yeah, looking forward now to cracking on with it, getting all the back structural work done on it, and then getting onto the wiring side of things.
Please interact with us as well, like in the comment section. I mean, we're not getting that many comments. We've had like 20, but we've had like 4,000 views or something, which is amazing, guys. So if you haven't already subscribed, please do, because we're trying to grow the channel, and you VXR guys have really smashed it out of the park on every video we've done. They've always done the best numbers. So if you want to see more, just keep doing what you're doing, guys. So on that note, adios.
Winning!